Okay, well, thank you for the nice introduction, Bill. And welcome and thank you for joining us today to all the attendees, and good afternoon and good morning to everyone. My name is Ken Godskin, and I'll be joined today by Brian Hutchinson, a very senior resource here at AlertSite, and I thought it would be a good idea to provide everyone with a brief update, as there have been some exciting changes at AlertSite this year. AlertSite is now a part of SmartBear software, a real innovator in the software quality and application lifecycle market space. Together, we are working to extend the Quality Anywhere initiative beyond the development and QA process all the way to production application management. SmartBear software is all about smart tools to improve quality and performance. Many of you with some experience in the development and QA side of the business may be familiar with SmartBear's software quality tools already. Today our company's products now include ALM Complete for managing and enabling collaboration from the requirements gathering phase through production application support, Code Collaborator for peer and code review, AQ Time for application profiling, Automated Build Studio for build management, Test Complete for QA functional testing, SOAP UI for component and service testing, and AlertSite for web application performance monitoring. AlertSite's mission is to help our clients deliver that consistent, high-performance online experience that their end users have grown to expect. Whether those end users are prospects or customers, partners, or suppliers or employees, just think about all the ways. Just think about all the ways that that different users interact with your company through a web browser. How do AlertSite services help extend the quality initiative to production? Let's look at the external monitoring services that we offer today. Firstly, we use real web browsers to measure web application performance. Not only does this mean that web applications happen for monitoring exactly the same way that they do for your end users, but because we are a real web browser, we're also functionally testing the application at each and every measurement execution as well. There are a lot of advanced features for specialized capabilities like custom JavaScripting and script variables. Today, we will be reviewing and demonstrating the latest of our advanced features called ContentViews. ContentViews is a really exciting new feature that we're already getting some very positive feedback about. And DesiaClick also manages our mobile web monitoring. AlertSite can monitor mobile web performance as any of today's popular mobile devices like iPhones, iPads, Android devices, and we support adding your own custom handset profiles as needed. These measurements can be taken from our backbone network or mobile over-the-air locations, and all of the advanced features, including ContentViews, work with DesiaClick's mobile capabilities. We also offer service monitoring for basic web availability, web services, and other IP monitoring like DNS and FTP. Delivering great user experiences is both a technical problem and a business problem, and the data shows delivering high-quality user experiences is more important today than ever. The latest research from Track Research says that business performance begins to decline at 4.4 seconds for web page load time, and that an hour of downtime causes, on average, business losses of $21,000. More interesting, though, is that an hour of slow performance causes a loss of $4,100 in an hour's time, and that slowdowns are happening 10 times more often, resulting in twice the business impact of outages. Of course, one of the challenges of managing performance is understanding where that performance issue may originate from, or which vendor may be responsible for that component of the website. The star of today's webinar, our newest capability, ContentViews, will make the job of managing the different participants in your website much easier. Now, the metrics on the right side of the slide are the kinds of key performance indicators that bonuses are based upon. These metrics from Alistair Kroll, Sean Power, and Joshua Bixby show average business impacts for performance-optimized sites versus unoptimized sites. And optimized sites showed lower bounce rates, increased conversion and time on site, and larger average order values. Now, these are the kinds of deltas that can make for great business results and great bonuses for those responsible for online business performance. One of my favorite comments about speed is from Fred Wilson of Union Square Ventures, who did a talk last year. He spoke about the 10 golden principles of successful web apps, and he said this. He said that speed is more than a feature. Speed is the most important feature. If your application is slow, people won't use it. And he goes on to say, I see this more with mainstream users than I do with power users. I think the power users sometimes have a bit of a sympathetic eye to the challenges of building really fast web apps. So personally, I'm not 100% sure of that, but I do find myself sometimes manufacturing reasons why some website that I'm interacting with is slow by, imagining perhaps that someone forgot an index in the Oracle database or something like that. Third-party content is everywhere. A majority of today's rich websites deliver functionality that includes content from their own owned and operated servers, as well as from different third-party vendors. This is really part of the larger web application delivery supply chain, and organizations of all types use content delivery networks for accelerating static content. Companies like Akamai and Kitendo, Limelight, work to accelerate content by hopefully delivering that content from a closer, meaning lower latency, fewer hops, and higher throughput server to improve the overall user experience for your end users. And media companies, blogs, affiliate programs, and all or most content-based monetization models use advertising from DoubleClick to earn dollars for their website content, or affiliate pay-per-click links, or other ways to monetize the traffic and eyeballs that are consuming the provided content. And we also have social networks these days, links to them for increasing loyalty, engagement, and a sense of community by using Twitter feeds or Facebook Connect or other connection components. We also have visitor tracking from companies like Google Analytics, Omniture, and Core Metrics, so we can understand what visitors are doing on our sites, which pages they visit, and what bounce rates look like. And then there's cloud-delivered componentry. I think, the argument about whether the cloud will play a big role in IT is pretty much over. Just look at the number of organizations who have committed to managing their top-line revenue operations in Salesforce. The thing about the cloud is that all of the SLAs today focus on availability only. None of the SLAs bring response time or user experience into the fold. And so it really becomes your job to ensure that your provider, in this case your cloud provider, is helping to put your best foot forward for your customers. And there's syndicated content is a big factor in some websites as well. Organizations like Common Sense Media supply their family-oriented media reviews to America Online and other websites, and companies like Power Reviews supply their product reviews to all kinds of different retail organizations, online retail stores. And there's a whole category of other third-party services, things like Live Help for live interactive support and sales chat, or Marketo for marketing automation, all of which can, potentially impact page load times and the overall user experience. The data in this table represents the overall impact on page performance that these listed different ads, widgets, and analytics have. Probably the most interesting column here are the impacts on page column and the media change in load time with and without. So that's this first column and the last column. This data is actually from Steve Souter's project for measuring the performance impact of third-party content. And why don't we look through a few of these? So we see here, in terms of the impact on page, this determines how big of an impact it has on page load time, and the Dig widget has a big impact, the Google AdSense, as does Glam Media and Collective Media, and some impact from Value Click. And then over here we can see the median change in load time by having this componentry on your page. And of course, some of these are some pretty fair impacts. So this is some good hard data as a baseline for the kinds of impacts that third-party stuff can have on the page. And of course, the more of them you have, the more potential impact you have on the user experience. So what's the problem? What are the common challenges that we are hearing from the marketplace? We hear things like, I don't want to be notified at 3 a.m. because an ad didn't load on our site. And actually, this was my very first use case for our ContentViews project. We hear things like, is there a way for me to report and track how long the ads are taking to load on my pages? Does anyone here have an SLA with their ad providers? Not too many are providing SLAs to individual organizations, but I'd be interested to, to track how those ads are impacting and how that corresponds with what the ad provider has committed to me. I'd also like to know how easily I can ensure that my content distribution network partners are doing a good job for my customers and delivering per our service level agreement. And what about wanting to segment a certain portion of my website so notifications can only be sent for that web component or routed differently for that web component? So what is the solution? The solution is ContentViews. ContentViews is a new feature of our browser-based web application performance monitoring. We've created a really easy-to-use user interface for segmenting page content and monitoring and reporting performance of these different components separately. In today's complex web environments, there are an average of 8 domains participating in the delivery of all of the content of a website. But to users, it's your brand, your customer experiences, your conversion rates and average order size, your bonus. This means you, as the owner and proprietor of that website, have to be a good steward and manage the overall customer experience as well as all the third-party participants and vendors. And ContentViews allows you to differentiate and configure actionable alerts based on segments, as well as isolating internal versus external content so that you can ID internal capacity constraints and collect the metrics that you need to manage third-party relationships with data and not just perceptions, as well as trend performance across the various ContentView segments. And we have made ContentViews really easy to use. We've gotten some nice early feedback about how the point-and-click interface made it very straightforward to segment the web componentry. ContentViews can be defined based on domains and URLs, as well as content types and content length and other content views. The scoping features allow you to create as many content views as you want and choose whether they apply to the script overall or just to particular actions or user events. And checking the continue to next action on error functionality allows the script to try to play forward as long as that component of the site is non-essential to the overall progress of the transaction. And we have this really cool exclude from ContentView option, which makes it super simple to set up that standard our core domain and all other third-party stuff that's not on our domains use case. So let's talk best practices. I think the first best practice is to isolate internally delivered content, to really understand how that owned and operated web components have an impact on the user experience, and conversely to isolate all non-internally delivered content so you have good separation and delineation for understanding user experience and whether that's something directly under your control or not. And finally, segmenting specific third parties to manage vendor relationships with data and not perceptions.
Again, my name is Brian Hutchinson. I'm Manager of Pre-Sales Technical Support here at AlertSite, and we're going to demonstrate the value and this exciting new functionality with DataClick with the content views. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go to a new tab. ContentViews is a new feature-rich functionality of DataClick. This is our recording tool. Allows you to record your steps across the internet in the browser. This again, all functionality here is browser-based, directly from the browser. So once you download the plugin DataClick from dataclick.com, you will have this toolbar here. This toolbar now, I'm going to go ahead and hit the record button. That's going to allow me now to start recording our script. So I hit the button here. We're going to go to CNN.com. I'm going to record CNN. So you're going to see the script growing over here in the left pane, left upper pane. And on the bottom left of the screen, you're also going to see the recording status. And as we're downloading the content from the CDN providers, so it looks like the page is loaded. So at this juncture here, I want to click on another tab. So we want to have at least 2 steps here to demonstrate the content views across multiple steps. So I'm going to click on the Tech tab. Click on the Tech tab. You're going to see the script growing over here on the left-hand side. Okay. And once this page is loaded, it says already down here, I'm going to end our script. So I'm going to hit the stop button. Okay, we got a confirmation message. Recording complete, 2 events successfully recorded. I go OK. So at this juncture here now, I'm going to play back the script on the desktop as your account or console requires at least a successful playback once of the script, because you want to make sure that you're uploading a good working script into the console. So you're just going to see a green border outside of the Tech button there to show where we actually clicked on the screen. Once the script's finished playing back, you get a confirmation message. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually show you another feature functionality of DataClick, which is the Test on Demand button. This button gives you instant gratification of the playback of the script from a remote location. So you can actually see the details and information on the pages. So this also allows you to test from any one of our monitoring locations in our monitoring network around the world. So I'll just leave it on Atlanta, and I'll select Atlanta as the default. I'm going to click the Test button. What's happening now is we're getting a pop-up window here where we're actually loading the script on our Atlanta servers. So we load it on the Atlanta server. So we're actually watching the script that I just recorded on my desktop here in Florida. It's loaded on the Atlanta server, and it's being played back. Once it plays back successfully from Atlanta, we're going to have a detailed report here that we can look and show you all of the dynamic content and information on the pages. So okay, so you have a successful test here. So if I click the detail report, it shows us the 2 actions, gives us high-level performance metrics for the 2 actions. So now I can drill down on that first page. This is going to open a waterfall graph for us here now. So in this graph here now, what we're seeing here now is how long the page took to load, the size of the page, and all of the dynamic content that makes up what I like to say is the visual presentation of the page. So we have the core URL, and we have all the CSS, JavaScript, icons, GIFs. And so CNN has some very dynamic pages, so you can see a lot of content here. So this content here is where ContentViews comes into play, because you can now select the appropriate content that you may need to monitor and be notified on specifically for any issues or challenges or performance problems that may be occurring on your pages. Nice thing about this report is the information below the report, there's individual technical information about each one of the components on your page, and these links are live links also. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a content view that's going to actually drill down on some of this content here and segment it out from the pages. So let's close this tab. So to create a content view, you go to the Properties tab on the left-hand side of your script. One of the options here is going to be Content Views. I click Add, brings a pop-up on the desktop. So what we're going to do here first is we're going to do the CNN core data, or core contents. So I'm just going to say core. Okay, always got my caps key reversed. CNN core CV. I'm going to click the plus sign to add the filter. And what's really powerful about this solution here is the interface. You have the ability to select all of the domains that we've automatically captured, so we know everything that has been touched or has been delivered on the pages. So it's right here for you to click and input and add to any of your content views. So in this case, we have all of the domains that were accessed on the pages, and we also have all of the URLs on all of the pages that were added. So every piece of information that created that visual presentation of your pages is here. So we're going to select CNN.com. I'm going to send it over here. What I want to do at this point here now is refine this filter. So I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to make sure it's just the core data from www.cnn.com. www.cnn.com. So I've refined this filter. So now we're only going to be capturing strictly the core content from CNN.com. I go OK. And then I just want to reflect here on what Ken alluded to earlier in his presentation, in that you can refine what you're actually looking for. Not only can you just select everything on the page, but you can drill down by application, all the applications, just some applications, maybe all of the images, or just some of the images. So you really have a lot of flexibility here as far as the interface, ease of selection, ease of creation. Another option here is you can also set on content length, and scope here is pretty powerful, because in creating these content views, you can determine what steps or what actions this content view applies to. So it doesn't have to apply to the entire script. Maybe you're having a problem with just the second action on the second page, that tech page. So we can take out the first page. The content view will only, you're isolating the content view down to a specific page. Again, it helps you to isolate, troubleshoot, and gather the performance metrics for specific components, and share that information with the responsible parties. So I'll leave it on for the entire script. I'll click OK. So we have our first content view. I'm going to add a second content view, and this is going to be for the non-core information, or non-core components. So I'm going to say non-core CV. And there's two ways we can do this. So if I hit the plus sign for the filter, I can go in there and just do a broad selection and hold the shift key down and select all of the remaining components outside of CNN.com, and I can send them over. And that will be my alternate or opposite content view, right? My logical opposite content view. There's another even easier way to do that. And what we can do is we can say, we can select the predefined list. In this case, we have a core content view that's created already. The CNN core CV, I can send that over, not the predefined list, but the existing content views that have been created, which we just created. I can send it over, and I can edit it, and I can say exclude CNN core content view from this content view. So right now I've done a logical opposite of the original content view. So now we have all of the other content. So it's that easy to create an alternate content view for the remaining core content on the page. I go OK, and so we have a second content view. And then I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add one for the CDN. So I'm going to say add CDN CV. And typically you want to give these names report-friendly names so that when you have numerous scripts in the console, it's easy to identify what this content view applies to. Hit the plus sign, and we have multiple, excuse me, we have multiple CDNs in here. So what we're going to do is we can either create one or I can just modify an existing one. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to say anything that is CDN, any URL or object in our waterfalls that's coming from a CDN. This is going to be our filter, just CDN only. So we're covering all CDN content delivery network components. So I can say OK. And the nice thing about this also is you can continue to the next action or event if a specific content view that you've created goes into error. So again, it's based upon dependencies. If the content view you're creating is not dependent on any of the other information being gathered on the pages, then you can say if this content here fails, then continue monitoring and make sure that the script is still being monitored. I can say OK, so I have my content views here now. So we've just created a script. We've just created the content views. Interface was very fluid and simple and straightforward, and now we can upload it to our account. So on your DesiaClick toolbar, you would have logged in. Once you're logged in, that's how you're able to access the test on demand. We're going to upload the recording. So we're going to upload the recording to our account. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to give it CV3, and I'm going to say this is 2 actions. And 3 content views, 3 CVs. I'm going to say OK. It's telling me there's no keywords on this script. You should add keywords to every script, but just for time, we're going to just upload this to our console. And you can always add keywords to the script after the fact. And it immediately takes you to the Manage Transaction screen. This is the screen that allows you to modify the settings and parameters for your script. What I do want to draw your attention to now is a new field. For those of you who are not familiar with the console, the new field here is the ContentView settings. This allows you to select or deselect whether these content views will notify on error. And so another great feature about adding content views to your account is you typically have the ability to notify an error for the entire script. But now you also have the ability to notify an error for an individual content view. And you can have different or alternate or other persons being notified about errors. So you can assign a new individual, a different individual or group or core team that's responsible maybe for this content view or the CDNs. You can have the marketing guys be responsible for being notified at 3 a.m. in the morning if this content view fails. So I'm not picking on you marketing guys if you're on the call. So that's how easy it is to create the script, create the content view, upload it to your account. We are monitoring. So now what I like to do is just touch on some reports, and I've actually have some reports already here in the console. And so what I did was I created a report that allows you to compare the core script with one of the content views. So again, this is one of our detailed reports from Atlanta. So as you're going to see here now, we have 2 performance lines. The core script is in green, and the content view just for the core content view from content from CNN is in red. So again, you get to an understanding of the differential between the total time and how much your core content is consuming in terms of the total time on the script. So again, this is very powerful in helping you to break out what you're responsible for, what you can deliver, and the performance metrics that it's giving you versus third-party and other content that you're not responsible for, how they impact how your site behaves. You can also create detailed scripts, reports for any of the individual content views. So again, you're going to have this content view, for example, is for the core content on the CNN core content. So again, part of our detailed report shows you availability, then shows you response times, and gives you load analyses, some statistical information, and then it goes and gives you detailed information about every test during that time frame. And in this case, I'd set this test for, created this test this morning, and it was from midnight till 9 o'clock in the morning. So again, detailed information about how this is performing. We did see an anomaly here in San Francisco, so let's just drill down on that quickly. And let's see here. We can see a high response time here. So it looks like that's this test here from San Francisco. So click on the first icon to see the action detail report. So we can see here, hey, we have a couple, we have an error, and we have long content time. So let's drill down on the waterfall graph. So on this waterfall here, we can see 7001. There's an object area here for, it looks like a tracking pixel, 1pixXGF. So if I right-click on this, open this in a new tab, right, it is a tracking pixel, so we're not going to see anything on the screen here. It's actually right here. So again, this is information we picked up. We have not, we set in the console not to alert on object errors, so therefore we weren't notified about this. But again, that's a flexible option in the script that you can assign or set up. And again, if I look at the response times, it's for this banner, CNN banner HTML. So we can see here from the report that even on the core pages that we're monitoring here, there were problems at that time stamp only from one location, San Francisco. So we can see how long it took before it loaded the banner and the edition bars. I'm not sure what that is, but again, you have the ability to drill down and understand what's impacting the performance of your pages. So this is just one example of that in the console. So at a high level, one other thing I'd like to touch on here now is the dashboard. Once you upload the script to your console, you will see a CV icon at the end of the script name, so which allows you to, it has content views, and if you click the plus sign, you'll get to expand, see the different content views that are created, and after a couple of minutes here, the console will update with the performance metrics as they're collected and gathered and updated to the console. So that's kind of it at a high level of content views, the value proposition of being able to intelligently track the performance issues with your pages, individual components, individual delivery mechanisms, and to help you make your websites more efficient and more functional. So I'd like to hand it over to Bill at this point here. And
thank you, Brian. Thank you,
yes, sir?
Ken, very much. It was a great presentation. Thank you for sticking with us, everyone on the line, as we suffered through a voice over IP reset and a power outage in our Florida office.
And a thunderstorm that's been going. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. This is a great time to submit any questions you do have. We have a couple of questions that have come in throughout the course of the presentation, but we want to make sure we can answer any questions that you have as well. So the first question, I guess, is probably for Brian or Ken. It asks, does ContentView work for multi-step transactions on secure URLs?
The answer is most definitely. And that's where the scoping feature, allows you to, regardless of the site you're secure or unsecure, allows you to designate and choose which portion of the script you want to, either all the script or a subset of the script. Yes, but definitely yes.
Okay. One of the questions asked about the concept of notifications. With ContentViews, can I use an existing notification group, or do I need to create a new group?
You want to create a new group, because what's happening is the ContentViews are actually unique individual scripts also running in the console. So when the moment you upload that script with the ContentViews to the console, they're not assigned to a group automatically. So yes, you would create new groups for the individual content views. That way you can you have the flexibility to say who, a second level of flexibility to say who's to be notified about them.
Okay, that's great. The next question I think comes from an existing customer and asks, do I need to do anything to have ContentView capability added to my account, or is it available now?
ContentViews is available now. And the core requirement is that you have a usage-based monitoring account. But yes, it is available today.
Okay, great.
Bobby? Okay.
Go ahead, Brian, sorry.
No, that was it. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Well, so the last question we have is, how does a content view work with a keyword validation error? If there's a keyword validation error, does that impact the continue on error functionality?
DataClick and ContentViews uses some intelligence to determine which content view a keyword error falls into by determining which content view filter applies to the document request that keyword is in. So if the keyword is set up so that it applies to the page overall, then it would be a larger generic error not in a content view. If the keyword is set up to apply to a specific component of the page, like a particular HTTP request, then or document request, then it will fall into the appropriate content view automatically.
Okay, Ken, that's great. Thanks for the detail. We've got 2 more questions that have come in. Linda asks, do I need to re-record my transactions that I already have, or can I just download them into my toolbar and rerun them?
So the answer is you can just play them back on your desktop, and during playback add the content views to the existing scripts and then re-upload them.
Okay. The last question we have is relates to content types. So we saw how to create content views based on domains and URLs. Is there a way to create a content view based on the actual type of content, if it's an image file, a Flash file, CSS, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first set of filters in the content view will be applied based on URL or domain, but secondarily the content type filter can be applied to narrow down. So yeah, absolutely, that requirement can be met.
Okay, that's great. Well, those are all the questions we have. Everyone who's asked, the slides will be available after the session today. We did record the session, but we'll have to look at the recording and see if it's worthwhile handing out in its totality. Ken and Brian, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for working through the technical issues we went through. And to everyone on the line, I really appreciate you guys sticking with us as we tried to overcome those technical issues on the fly. I would love to get your feedback on this webinar and hear what you'd like to see for future topics. At the end of the webinar, there's going to be a little survey that pops up. please take 30 seconds just to fill it out. And if you're interested in getting a trial or learning more about AlertSite, just visit the AlertSite website at www.alertsite.com. All right, Ken and Brian, thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Bill. Have a nice day. Goodbye, everybody, and thanks for attending.